Yeah, we'll start with. I hope you all can hear me, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, you're audible.
Yes.
Thanks. So let us try to start with our discussion. So can you tell me what is the difference? I mean, what is the relation between subscription and resource group? Any idea?
Subscription is applied at a higher level, at a management group level, or not management group level, at a department level, or at a unit level. And the resource group is a group of resources under the subscription.
Okay. Mhm. Can we have one management group in another management group? Can be a part of a management group in another management group? Is it
Yes.
possible? Right? Okay.
Yes, sir. We can have one management group under one manager.
Okay. Fine. Fine. So can you all see my screen now?
Yes.
So as you know, tomorrow you don't have a session. So what you do is I'll give you certain uh, prerequisite document with you all. So okay, uh, I'll I'll send you all the step-by-step document to you. Okay, try to install those tools. Okay, one is on a Visual Studio Code. Okay, possible like Docker. Anyway, Docker is not required. At least you can try to install Visual Studio Code on your laptops. Then Git, whatever the sequence of tools we require as part of this course, right? I'll put it in one Word document with the how to execute and all those stuff. Try to complete that over the weekend and be ready with that. First service, practically we are going to learn is storage service today. As I told you, the policies and all, but okay, it is a bit confusing. So I don't want to get into the okay unnecessary stuff in a very first session. So okay, as I told you, you don't need to create any account at this moment. So we will try to create it on Monday. Okay. So let me try to walk you through the portal first. So when you try to log in, you can see this kind of a look and feel, right? If you try to understand here, this is my mail ID which I logged in with. Okay. The the email ID which I used for that and Active Directory. The by default, if you created, you can see something like your mail ID at the rate on Microsoft.com kind of. But if you look at here, the domain, okay, in my scenario, the domain is learnclouds.in, right? So if you create on a very first time your account, you could see something like your mail ID at the rate on Microsoft.com kind of. By default, sorry, by default, you'll get, okay, Microsoft domain. We can see how we are going to have our own custom domain in organizations. Those things we'll try to look at. So if you look at, there is one Cloud Shell right here. What is this Cloud Shell? Any idea? I told you, right? What is this Cloud Shell? Cloud
Command
Shell.
line interface.
Cloud Shell is an interface where you can try to run certain commands directly over here. Generally, you need to have one server to run any commands, any like operating system, your own desktop or anything. But okay, Azure has given a Cloud Shell concept where you can try to run any commands here itself. So if you look at here, if you want to have a Linux bash shell or else Windows PowerShell, anything you can get it here. Okay, you can switch from PowerShell to bash, bash to PowerShell. That's all up to you. Okay, whichever the shell you are comfortable with, okay, you can adopt it. So if you want to run any commands, CLI commands, PowerShell commands, okay, you can try to run it here itself. So if you look at here, so if you want to try to install some tools like going forward, we are going to learn, let us say Terraform, let us say. Already the Terraform related tool already installed on it. Okay, most of the required tools are installed, just you can try to use that. Okay, so all the subscriptions are connected with. So okay, simply you can start utilize this particular Cloud Shell to practice. If you want to open that in a separate shell, you can do that. Okay, if you want to restart, if you want to open, if you want to see here, there is an upload. If you want to download, upload files, you can do that here. Okay, if you want to open a new shell, okay, you can try to open the new session here. Right, you can try to work on separate session. Right, one second. Okay, so okay, you can try to have separate session here. You can try to work on this. But if you want to work with a cloud shell, it will maintain some backend server, a small storage. That's around 5 GB storage they'll maintain in the backend. That particular 5 GB storage will get it from your storage accounts here. Okay, if you look at here, storage accounts in your account. So you can see here, some of the storage account will be created in your account. That particular date, okay, storage account will be consumed by this particular cloud shell. Whatever the data you are storing, the data is stored in this particular cloud storage account. So what is a storage account? It is just like your Google Drive. Okay, storage account is just like your Google Drive. Like okay, you can try to store your data in that. Let us try to start our journey with the storage account. One of the very useful and simple okay, service in Azure, so that okay, we can understand, we can practice much better way.
Yeah.
Can you all mute yourself?
I'm done playing with you.
Mute, please. So now, if you look at here, the storage accounts, let us try to understand what is storage account first. We are working with a storage account. So we have different types of storage accounts in that. Okay, widely used service storage account is file store, blob store, table, queue. these four types of storage types we have in our storage. So if you look at here, blob storage, right? Blob storage is like just like your Google Drive. You can store your data and you can access the data across the globe, right? So blob storage is just like your Google Drive. You can store data in that and you can access across the globe. So file store, have you observed we can try to share one particular server data to multiple servers, multiple laptops, desktops, network drive kind of. Have you observed that?
Yes, it's like a NAS.
NAS, correct. So let us say you have a common data in your organization. Okay, let us say HR related data. Every employee need to have that in a local system. So rather than copying in every engineer local system, what they do is try to maintain a centralized one particular drive. They'll maintain the data in that and you can access that in all the machines. They'll try to map it as a local disk. Okay? That we can do within a file store. Okay, file store is something in your organization for all your servers, your desktops. Okay, we can try to share this. Okay, centralized access kind of in a terminal in a cloud point of view, we can say it as a NAS, network storage device kind of. Okay. So there are two types of storages like NAS, SAN, and all. At this moment, let us not go into that particular issue. So we'll try to look at now. The file share is nothing but file store is nothing but it is a network drive that can be accessed across the Windows or Linux machines. The advantage with that is we can access that from Windows as well as Linux. Table store. So we know that, okay, the tables are like relational databases we try to learn till now. We heard till now, or else like Oracle, MySQL, MS SQL, right? Right. So there is a NoSQL databases also there. Right, there is a NoSQL databases also. Here we can try to store a single table, okay, which you require. Okay, let us say you are working for an e-commerce site, right? Particular electronics related all the information you want to store. Okay, so individual tables. We'll try to look at that. Okay, and queue storage is nothing but if you want to maintain. Okay, let us say there are two applications. Okay, let me try to take a paint.
Hey Raghu, shall I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, good.
The one which you accessed from on the Cloud Shell, is it a blob storage or is it a file storage? I mean, when you connect through that Cloud Shell.
It is in a blob storage. I'll walk you through. Just give me 2 minutes, okay?
Okay.
If you look at sometimes what happens, you have an application and some other application you want to send in a notification. Let us say you have booked some item in an e-commerce site that need to send it to a tracking kind of tracking system, right? That information send it to tracking system. Suppose because of any reason, if you lost the connectivity or anything, you may lose this packet, right? So nowadays, every service is maintaining the decoupled environment. Decoupled environment in the sense, suppose you sent a lot of requests, but my destination application is not ready to consume those many requests, right? If my destination server is not ready to consume those many resources, so you may lose the packet, right? So that's why we are coming with a decoupled environment. What this decoupled environment does, the request will send it to this particular queue service. The request will send it to queue service. Queue service will maintain all the messages, right? Queue service will maintain all the messages for here. And it will try to send first in, first out kind of a concept. And my application, whenever it is free, right, it will go and consume that. Whenever my application is free, it will go and consume that. In a way, we don't miss any particular packet, any particular message, right? So if you directly connect it to this particular destination application, if it is not ready to consume that, let us say it is processing previous request, right? If it is processing previous request, it may lose the new request, right? To avoid that, what we can do, we can try to maintain decoupled environment. Decoupled environment in the sense it is not directly connected with this. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to maintain in a queue service. All my requests are stored in a queue service. So whenever my application is free, it will go and consume that. Is this clear? Is this clear? What is on a queue service?
Yeah. Can we think it as a load balancer or something?
Load balancer will distribute this traffic to these two resources equally. It is not the case, right? It is not distributing the traffic. It is maintaining the queue so that, we don't miss any particular message, any particular order in a case.
It's a asynchronous communication. It's not synchronous like a load balancer.
Yes. Okay. So we are trying to maintain in a queue so that the queue will make sure that, it will submit first in, first out concept. Let us say this message came first. It will try to submit that. Okay, it will send out first. And the queue maintains certain time. Okay, this is my time interval. Let us say at least 24 hours it will remain the message. Such kind of mechanism they'll maintain. Okay, so as of now, we'll try to understand what is a queue. Queue is something, it will maintain the messages and some other application consume those messages. So the widely used service, all these are all blobs, file shares, queues, tables. The advantage with this storage accounts are it is a durable and high available. So how can I say it is a durable and high available? Is they maintain the redundancy across the data centers and regions. If you observe this here, if you look at here, whenever you try to upload any particular object, that object based on my requirement, I can say how important that data is, will try to replicate it. There is the concepts of LRS, ZRS kind of local redundancy, zone redundancy kind of. They make sure that the data is replicated across the data centers, across the regions, so that at any given time you can access your data. Okay, that's why it is a durable and highly available, right? So secure because all the data encrypted by default. Scalable because you can store any amount of like it can store like any amount of data, like you can store TBs of data, right? It's a managed service. Whenever I say managed service, it is managed by Azure. Let us say if I say VM is managed service, the VM hardware, everything is managed by Azure. Okay. So when managed in the sense it is managed by Azure. So Azure will take care of your hardware, maintenance, updates, everything. You just create a storage account and you can store your data. That's it. Right?
When you talked about high availability and what is it, redundancy, you said it's only about blobs. Is it that high availability is applicable only for blob storage, or is it available for all other storages?
All of the storages. Let us
So
try to
basically,
understand.
it's a storage account you are talking
Storage
about then.
account.
Okay.
Yes. I'm talking about storage account. So how we are achieving high availability? Let us look at it. Okay. So I think I need to delete this content. Why it came, I don't know. Fine. So to prevent that particular any hardware failure, right? So what Azure does is they have come up with a concept called redundancy. Okay. So if you want to maintain local redundancy, they call it as LRS. So if you pick up LRS, right, within the particular data center, they try to synchronize, they try to copy the data in different location. Okay, they copy the data locally redundant. It is bit less costly solution. They maintain multiple copies in the same region or same data center kind of. So that if something went wrong in a one particular rack, one particular hardware, still you can access it from other hardware. If you look at ZRS, zone redundant, across the zones they'll try to copy. These synchronize the copy in 3 availability zones within the region. Whatever the availability zones are there, it will try to maintain one copy over there. Let us say if I uploaded one file, it will make sure that the file will be copied into all the 3 availability zones. So what happens across the availability zone means if any availability zone went down, you can access it. Still you can access it. So zero redundant. So across the regions, you can copy that across the regions. If one particular region went down also, you can access in that particular case. And there is another option, zero redundant with one more read-only copy. So this is so in which scenario, which storage I have to select, any idea? In which scenario I can select which particular storage? Is there any such criteria?
It depends upon how much, like the availability of the data. Like, do we need the data across different regions, or is it we are concentrated only on the single region?
Yes, we can say how important the data is.
Yes.
Right? And also sometimes like if you have operations in different regions, I need this data into other region. In that particular case also you can use that. So how important the data is. In that particular case, you can try to use it.
Can you explain the difference between GRS and GZRS?
It will maintain like an read. We call it as an RAGRS actually. Okay, one read-only copy, one extra copy will maintain for, you can read from that. Okay, you can go and access it kind of. Okay, ZRS we call. Okay, that is one thing, but they'll maintain one extra copy for read that particular content. The secondary region, you can go and look at that as well. Okay, nowadays, okay, they are not giving this feature now. So in all the regions, they are not giving that particular RAGRS, GZRS.
So GeoZone means it can have multiple
Multiple regions.
regions.
Yes.
Okay.
Multiple regions, you can try to, the data will be replicated. Right?
And for okay.
So if you look at like an first LRS means within the data center it will replicate. ZRS means it will maintain that data in all these availability zones 1, 2, 3. So within the region, all the data center, all the availability zones level, our data will be copied. Because of any reason, any availability zone went down, still you can access it from other two. I mean, you may not observe that, you cannot realize from which availability zone I'm accessing it, but okay, backend they'll try to take care of. Okay, that is a zone redundant. Zero redundant means, so whatever the data when you copy it here, right? You can specify which region I want to copy. Let us say in US I have on a business. Whatever the data I stored in India, I want to replicate it to US region as well. So you can specify that, okay, which region I want to maintain the DR point of view. Okay, or any operations point of view, that's up to you. So the commonly asked question in the storage is, what is blob storage? Okay, what are the types in that? What is the blob storage and what are the types in that? So if you observe here, the blob storage, again we have 3 types. Don't confuse with this. Okay, in the blob storage, we have a different types. Let us not consider the types now, but blob storage, we call it as object storage. What it is? In a blob storage, we call it as object storage. Object could be anything, file, video, audio, backups, anything. Clear? So just like a Google Drive, right? You can store any content in that. The blob storage is nothing but object storage. In AWS, we call it as an S3 bucket. It is also object storage. Here we call it as a blob. In the blob, you can store any content.
So one blob can have multiple block as well?
No, one blob can have multiple containers in that. So each container for one application, one different scenario. Let us say in your Google Drive, you can create different folders, right?
Correct.
Such a way you can create multiple containers. Okay, in that container, you can store actual content. The content could be, right? You can store some shared files, videos, audios, data logs.
So one container for one file, or one container can have multiple types, multiple files, like a folder.
One container can have multiple files, multiple videos, audios, anything. So the container is a logical segregation of your one environment related files, one application related files. Okay.
So it's just like a folder, nothing else. The container.
Exactly. It is. You can treat it as just like a folder. Okay. Why we maintain in a folder, right? If I want to give a permissions, let us say a particular user you want to give a permissions, particular application you want to give a permissions. So that's why we create a container. The container level we will maintain all the objects. So what we call it as objects.
And we can have address for the container as well as we can have address for each of those files within the container. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or is it? Okay.
We can have an individual address for each and every object. When I say object, object could be anything. It could be video, audio, file, anything. Okay. Each and every object has a unique URL kind of. Okay. Fine.
Can you explain those different types of block storage, like the one I'm seeing on the chat?
Chart. I mean, this one you're talking about.
On the right hand, yeah, those three block. What is it?
Okay.
Block.
Yeah, I'll explain you. So when you are trying to work with a blob storage, we have three types. Suppose you want to store all the logs, application related logs, OS related logs. So you want to push a lot of logs nowadays, right? Everything working with the logs. You want to analyze the logs. With the logs only, we'll try to understand what is the issues with that. So all the logs are stored in append blob. So most of the times in interviews, they ask you what are the different blob types and what is the purpose of that. All the logs will be stored in append blob. Blob is for any object. It could be any of this text, images, audios, videos. Which one will use most? We'll use this. Blob is most of the times we use with that. Any application logs or anything we can store in that. Page blob is nothing but if you want to store hard disks. Previously, Microsoft used on a hard disk with this particular page blob. Nowadays, they're calling it as a managed disk. But okay, previously they used to maintain the hard disks in this particular page blob. Nowadays, no one using that. Page blob is for hard disk. Let us say you have a data center level, you have some hard disk. You can migrate it here. For that, you can attach to server. Just like on hard disk. As of now, you try to understand page blob is nothing but hard disk. Please note down these three options. Okay. So just try to note down this.
You will share this PPT, right? Later on.
Yes. I'm trying to prepare on our timelines, guys. So every day what we are going to discuss on the particular timelines based content I'm preparing today. Today is my weekend, right? So I'll prepare today and tomorrow. By next session, you'll get that timeline based, okay, scheduled okay, topics. You'll get it by Monday. I mean next session, so that okay we can have right approach. Okay. So all these PPTs, lab documents, recordings, everything will get it. Just give me 2 days time. I'll finish that. So okay. So now what we understand? Blob is for all the objects. Page blob is for what? Page blob is
Page.
append blob is for
Application logs, like the log storage.
any logs. Okay, we can store logs. Yeah, we can store logs. Okay. Page blob is for disks. Append blob is for logs. Okay, you can, the segregation is over here. You can try to understand now. Blob is nothing but for large objects. It could be anything like videos, audios, anything you can store here. Whereas on a page blob, you can maintain the disks. Append blobs, any logs. Okay. try to remember or note down somewhere. So, okay. So each and every blob type, which has its own mechanism to store. So, if you look at right, so uh, if you look at on a YouTube, right, if you if you look at on a latest data, if you look at latest video, you can access very fast and the quality is also very good, right? Whereas if you look at some old data, old video, there are some, it is not that quality. I mean, not only for what YouTube does, if it is a frequently accessing data, suppose they maintain, okay, they maintain in a better quality disks. Right? So like an SSD disks kind of, right? If you are frequently accessing data, they maintain quality disks, high-end disks. If you are not frequently accessing such particular video, so they try to move that into some less cost storage, right? It all will happen in automated way, right? In the same way, here also in storage, we have a different types like hot, cool, archive. So if you are regularly accessing data, we can store that in a hot. If you are non-frequently accessed data, if it is a non-frequently accessed data, you can store it in cool. But now once in a while, once in a year, if you are trying to open that file, you can better store it in archive. Archive means like a cut paste kind of archive is nothing, right? So based on how frequently you are accessing data, you can try to store it in a different locations. So why everything we can store it in hot only, right? Why we are maintaining different storage classes? Is there any reason?
Importance of the data and the latency required for those data to access.
Is there any requirement why we have to maintain that in that way?
Like certain data you need faster access, like your immediate information, but your old information can be accessed at slow speed. Something like archive stuff will always be on a slow storage.
Is there any other reason
If you use everything in the whole
Cost.
storage, it's gonna slow.
well, let us say
Cost also. Cost.
yes. What is the important thing is cost. So let us say we'll take an example like okay, we have an AT&T service provider. Okay, let us say okay, we have an Vodafone kind of an network provider. The data record they maintain 1 month for their bill generation. But to get the license, right, to get the license from government, they have to maintain the call records and everything for 7 years. The 1 month call record, whatever they store, they will generate the money from that. That is the revenue generated data. After that, okay, whatever the data you are storing for 7 years, is that revenue generating? Will they access the data frequently? No, right? Only for licensing point of view, as per agreement with the government, they're storing that. But it is not revenue generating. If it is not revenue generating, if they store it in a high-end storage class, high-end costlier disks, is there any use? So that's why they store it in archive. Whenever there is a government agency is required any call recordings, is there any requirement, then only they'll try to get that content and they'll give it. Does that make sense? So why we store
Yes.
it in heart, why we have to store it in archive. It is all about, okay, there is a charges involved on it. Each and anything you are using in a cloud is not free. Everything is chargeable. So you have to be good enough how to utilize the resources in cloud efficiently, right? You have to be good enough how efficiently we are using the resources. Let us say you started in a tap. You didn't tie it. So there's a bill will generate, right? So if you don't use it, you tie it. So the bill will not generate for that. So unnecessary resources, you have to delete it in cloud so that okay, you can reduce the cost and you can try to make your business more viable. Nowadays in our industry now, there is a FinOps kind of a role also becoming very popular. FinOps is nothing but how there is an engineer who will manage all their financial related reports, they reduce the cost. Okay, FinOps kind of. We'll see what exactly their role is. But okay, to reduce the pricing, right, you can try to utilize different types of this particular storage types, right? So types of operations we perform, number of operations we perform. Okay, so these are all we'll consider at the time of selecting what type of storage type we are selecting. Okay, so hot, cold, archive storage and all. So if you look at cost point of view and access point of view, if it is in a hot, you can access very fast. If it is a cool, if it's archive, the time to access it will take some time. If it is archived, you have to get to the data, it will take some time. When to use which storage? Frequently accessing data, you have to use hot tier. Infrequent using data, you can store it in cool tier. Rarely used data, we can store it in archive. Right? So recently updated data, let us say, for first 30 days, you can store it in hot. If you're not accessing at all, you can move it to cool or archive automatically. Such kind of rules also we can define. Okay. Any doubts in this?
I'm okay.
So same kind of thing we'll try to discuss in AWS as well. AWS also similar kind of thing. They call it as an S3 bucket. Here we call it as a blob. Right? We can call it as a storage account. In that we have a blob in that container. But in AWS they call it as an S3 bucket. Same. Okay. So concept is same. In Google also we have storage accounts. Same. So we'll try to look at one simple storage account first as a first lab. Then we'll see how it. So where we can create this storage account? Any idea? Where we can create this storage account?
Within our account, within our Azure account.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Within our account, that is fine.
Group, resource groups.
Yes. As we discussed yesterday, everything in the resource group, right?
Okay.
Everything is in resource group. Let me try to create a simple resource group first. Okay, if you look at here, create a resource group. Which subscription? As of now, I have only one subscription. As we go, on Monday, we'll try to create one free account. One more new account with you. There you can see free subscription here. You'll get here free subscription. Okay, as of now, we don't have, let us say I want to create a new resource group. Let us say DevOps. Okay, So this is the resource group I want to create. Which region you are looking at? East to west, let us say. As I told you, tags are very important, right, in cloud. Okay, let us say this storage account, this resource group is for production environment, right? Like who is the owner of this particular one, which department it is for. You can have a number of tags, right? Whatever the resources you are deploying in Azure, first it will validate it. Yes, have you given all the right information? Once it is validated, then only you are allowed to create. See here I'm allowing, you are creating the resource. When I create a resource, if you look at here, that particular resource related information, you can see the updates here. Resource group is created. You can go to that particular resource group if you want. Right? So let us now try to create a storage account. So here I'll try to search for storage accounts. Here you can create a storage account. So which resource group I want to use? Okay. DevOps December 23. Which resource group you want to deploy the storage account? What is the storage account name? Okay, let us say the storage account name, I'll take it as an Arago. Simple. But it is not allowing you. Look at someone already taken that account. That means the storage account name should be unique across the globe. Let us say if you create a Gmail, right? If already someone taken that, will it allow you to create? No. Right? In a similar way, the storage account, whatever you create, that should be unique. The name of the storage account should be unique. Why? Is there any reason? Yes, there is a reason. I'll explain. Something I've given this. Okay, is that unique now? Yes, it is unique. So with this particular storage account, you can enable the static website also. Okay, that's why they want to maintain a unique bucket name, unique storage account name. Okay.
We can just store the static HTML files and it can be accessed through that one.
Yes.
Wow.
You can try to make static websites with a simple storage account. Just you can copy your HTML content and you can access across the globe. Okay, so we'll look at that. Okay, so now this storage account, okay, the region and all given. So will you take an LRS, GRS, ZRS, ZZRS? I'll take LRS. Okay, what is LRS?
Local.
What is LRS? Local redundant storage. Whether you want to go standard or premium, we'll look at when to take premium, when to take standard. Let me try to go forward. I'm not going to change anything or networking, data production, encryption. I'm not going to change anything. Simply, I'll try to take review.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Okay, good.
So for using the LRS or ZRS, it also difference in cost?
Yes, definitely. So instead of storing one file, if you are storing multiple copies in multiple locations, you have to pay for that, right? So how important the data is, accordingly you can maintain multiple copies, right?
Nothing is free from in Microsoft as well. We need to keep in mind.
Any cloud, okay. If it is an AWS or Azure or anything, nothing comes free. Okay, everything is chargeable. Okay, you have to be very careful when you are provisioning any resource. Okay, you are storing something means, okay, you have to store if it is very useful. Okay, otherwise you can just simply, I mean, that's why, right? Cost optimization is also one of the important activity in a cloud. Okay, whatever the resources you are using, okay, that should be paid, right? That's why we have to be very careful. Unnecessary resources you have to delete regularly. Housekeeping and all you have to do regularly. Okay. So if you look at here, I'm trying to validate, it is validated now, just I'm creating now. Now you see there is a storage account getting created. So very first time when you create account, they'll give you 13 or 14,000 or else $200. That is the free. You have to utilize that in a month. Rest of all, whatever you consume, that you have to pay for. Okay, so if you look at here, still it is deploying that particular resource. If you look at resources completed, you can go here directly that particular resource. Okay, if you observe here, the overview of the storage account, what is the resource group name, location, subscription ID, right? And you can see the tags what we have applied as of now. Standard performance, replication details, LRS, right? You can try to look at all the details over here. Okay, if you want to see activity, who logged in till now, who utilized it, okay, from where they accessed it, such kind of access details, access log we can try to look at, activity log we can try to look at here. So at this moment, try to understand the overview. And if you look at here, right, there are 4 data storage options are there. What are those? Containers, nothing but a blobs, file shares, queues, and tables. Today we'll look at only the containers. Okay, in a container, you can create one container here, and you can store any of your objects, right? So let us say if I create a container here, right? I created some test container kind of. Here you can upload the data, any files, any objects. When you are storing a data in a container, we can call it as an objects, right? So let us say I'm trying to store some resume, upload. Now tell me, this kind of GUI way, any 10th class student can do this or not? If you show him once, hey, you have to upload here, you have to create this account in this way. Anyone can do it, right?
Probably, yeah.
So if you want to make some difference, so what we can do? The programmatically we are good at to write this, like infrastructure as a code. I mean to say we are not going to write Java or .NET something, but we write an infrastructure as a code, like an Terraform, ARM templates. Nowadays, recently come up with Azure like a Bicep, something or other, right? So based on your organization, you create infrastructure as a code. Yeah, you're asking something.
What is that one? Other one is Azure Biceps.
Yeah, Bicep is an recently Azure has announced a DSL language. So with that also you can try to create a infrastructure. So okay, what we do, we try to create an ARM templates going forward, Terraform template we write going forward. With that, okay, we are going to create all these storage details. Okay. So if you look at this particular object, so object details you can try to look at here. See, This is an object URL. If you look at here, this is an object URL. Every individual object has its own URL. Storage account, blob, container, object name. Right? Such a way, every object has its own URL. And also, if you observe, like which access tier it is, what is the type? Is it on a log file? No, right? Is this on a disk? If it is a log, we could have stored it in append blob.
Append, yeah.
If it is on a disk, we could have stored it in a page blob. It is an object where it is stored in blob. Right? The terminology may be a bit different initial days.
But nothing stops. But nothing stops us to classify that storage type. We can change from blob to file if needed. Correct?
Yeah, you can do that.
And same thing for what is the other type?
Yeah, let me try to do this. So when you're trying to upload, right? So we can try to specify like, okay, what type of object it is. Okay, whether it is a noun. Okay, whether it is a noun disk, whether it is a okay, whether it is in a blob, whether it is in a what type of object it is, page blob, blob, append blob, what it is. Okay, you can specify that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We look at that advanced topics. We'll try to look at that. So there's a lot of other things we need to look at in the storage account at this moment. Okay, in an initial day, okay, how to create a storage account, how to upload some object on it. Okay, that is fair understand. If you understand this, that's fine, right? We will try to look at file shares going forward, queues, tables, and all. We'll try to understand. So, any questions? Any questions here? Till now, whatever we discussed.
Where can we change the priority of the storage, like the hot or cold, like?
Yeah, I mean, at the time of an uploading, you can change, and also like an at the time of creating storage account itself. Okay, you can try to select the premium or standard. You can select that. Okay. So, okay, let us say, okay, if you look at here, okay, we try to upload this one, right? So when you are uploading here, okay, you can select an advanced options and you can select here whether it is an okay, hot tier, cool, cold, archive, you can try to select it. Okay. But programmatically, when you are doing it, you have to select these options. Okay. Otherwise, by default, it will go into hard tier. Yeah. Any questions? If no questions, I'll wind up today here. Okay. We'll try to look at the actual labs like policies and all from Monday. So, or else, if you have any questions, you can stay back, you can ask.
Yeah, thank you.
I just had one suggestion. that I know if we can keep the class from 7 to 8:15, like 1 hour 15 minutes for the class and 15 minutes for the question.
Yeah, we do
so
that.
we can cover more.
Correct.
That's why
Yes,
I'm trying to say.
We'll have a 1.5 hour. We'll have a 1.5 hours lesson. Yeah. Coming sessions, right? From Monday onwards, we have a 1.5 hour session. Okay. So okay, today like as you all not created account as of now, so that's why okay we'll try to the scope just will limited here. So once you have a session okay with your account okay you all in sync. So what I'm doing now. So that's why okay. So we look at it. No problem.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I consider that.
Earlier you said
Sorry.
few tools we have to install. Can you tell us again what tools we have to
We'll send
install
you
in the
that.
laptop?
Every day, what is your task? I'll send you that. Okay. So what you have to do with the lab document, I'll share you with you. Okay. So you try to finish that from your end. Okay. We'll share you that. Okay. What you have to do. The task details.
Can I also get the recording for these sessions? So basically for this session and also like the Azure session, what you had like day before yesterday.
Day before yesterday. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'll ask our team to get it done today. Okay. I'll make sure that okay. Today you'll get all the pending activities. Whatever.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks for joining for today's session.